Welcome to the Misophonia Podcast. You're listening to episode 18 of season 2. My name's Adil Ahmad, and I have misophonia. First off, you were probably expecting this episode a couple days ago, and my apologies. I got overextended on a number of projects that I'm trying to finish off by the end of the summer, and I had to slip this week's episode. I assure you we'll be back on schedule every Wednesday starting next week. I'm particularly bummed because Wednesday was my guest's birthday, so a very happy belated birthday to Samantha, a longtime listener of the show, and I can't wait to get to her story. But first, a reminder that the Misophonia Association convention is coming up. Totally virtual this year. It's going to be on October 8th and going through to the 10th. There are lots of great speakers. I'll also be speaking a little bit about community, about the podcast, and lessons learned. There's links to the show notes, and you can also Google for the Misophonia Association convention and find out how to get access. I want to, of course, do a shout out from Miso List, and this time Courtney Parsons Art. Courtney is obviously a misophone and a graphic designer and artist. You can find her on Instagram and support her work at Courtney Parsons Art. Remember, if you know a business operated by a misophone, please hit the add button on misolist.com, misolist.com. This is a great way to find places where we own businesses, where we work, so we can all support each other financially. All right, now, here's my conversation with Samantha. Samantha, welcome to the podcast. Good to have you.
Thank you so much for having me.
You know, I know you've been a fan of the or at least a listener of the podcast for a while, and I'd like to find out where people are kind of located.
I'm in Texas, about an hour away from downtown Austin. I'm self-employed. I do cleaning, window washing, pet sitting, that kind of thing. Just whatever can keep me self-employed. I enjoy that.
Right. And did you get into did you kind of veer yourself towards self-employment for kind of the autonomy, be able to kind of control your environment?
I absolutely did.
Excellent.
I don't think it was misophonia related, but I really enjoy that autonomy and not having people tell me when I can eat or go to the bathroom or when I need to wake up, basically.
Yeah, there's many advantages, but I'm sure, as the misophones are listening are, I'm sure, nodding.
Oh, yeah. I love being able to make my own schedule.
And as a bonus, is it pretty good for you in terms of sounds too?
Yeah. I'm usually listening to this podcast or music while I'm working. So, yeah. I carry a variety of headphones with me wherever I go, for sure.
Yeah, as we all do. And there's one other thing that you carry around that I know you've sent me images of that I wanted to talk about on the podcast. Is something you swear by, or is the something called earpiece? Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. I had known for a couple of years what misophonia was called, and all that. And I had a breaking point. I was in a car with a group of people, and they weren't doing anything, rude or obnoxious, but I was being triggered, and it's not like I could get out of the car. So I was like, in the moment, I started looking on Amazon for earplugs, earbuds, anything for noise canceling, and I did some research later that day, and I decided on earpiece, and they're just clear little earbuds, and they have these inserts that are like light, medium, and heavy noise blocking, and I always use the light one for when I'm with people and I say they're eating chips or just whatever. It muffles it enough to deal with it, but I can still hear people speaking, and they come in a keychain, and I have them wherever I go. And so lately they haven't been helpful or useful because I haven't been around many people, but yeah, they're great. I highly recommend them.
Yeah, the keychain piece is great. I never thought of just kind of keeping them on one of the things that I always have on me when I'm going out. The sizes of the inserts. So usually when you get earphones, you get the 3 sizes for your the shape of your ear, but this is these are three inserts basically that have different blocking levels.
Yeah, they're tiny little pieces of plastic that they would be really easy to lose. But yeah, it just goes inside the middle of the earplug, and there's only one size to the earplug, and they fit fine. They kind of adjust to your ear, I think. But yeah, most people can't even see them.
Yeah, very cool. Okay.
They're actually marketed toward concert goers, but again, haven't been able to use them for that
Yeah,
either.
right. Yeah.
Quarantine.
No one remembers the last time they've been to a show. Um, yeah, okay, cool. And so you were in this long car ride that kind of pushed you towards this. And so do you like let's talk about your friends. Do they now know that you have misophonia? Is it something you talk about with people around you?
I have a couple friends that I've told. I haven't told everybody, like, got up on a podium and said, "This is my condition." But a few of them do know, and a small few are careful and try not to trigger me, or they're mindful, or they're like, "Does this bother you?" Not in an antagonizing way, in a considerate way, and that really means a lot to me. But um, a few of them probably know that I'm just quote weird. Not that I think
Yeah.
I'm weird, but yeah, a few of them know, and my family is well aware of that as well.
Right. And so you've mentioned, I've sent you stickers of the podcast, and you've mentioned that
Right.
you got sisters, I think, that also have miso.
Yeah. So I have three older sisters, and two of them I know have misophonia. Um, my my father, I don't know if he has misophonia, but he apparently used to make fun of my mom when she was eating cereal because she'd click the bowl a lot. And I mean,
Mm,
it's normal for, people to have their quirks like that. I don't know if he did have misophonia or not, but my second to oldest and the one closest to me in age, I know do have misophonia. And there's a little bit of backstory there if you want to get into that.
oh, yeah, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'd like to hear that.
So yeah, growing up, uh, my two older sisters kind of helped raise us, and my second oldest sister definitely had misophonia. I don't want to speak ill of anybody, but
Mm,
there was definitely some mistreatment going on.
mm, mm,
Me and my sister closest to me in age would, like, anything we would do, like turn the page of a magazine or whistle, or like just anything that would trigger her, really. And it was just really normal everyday sounds, nothing too obnoxious, right, like most triggers. um and she would like throw things at us, and like like spit on
yeah,
us, like just anything, like to force us to stop, to leave the room. I mean, it would cause a pretty big rage reaction in her. And of course, she was a young teenager, so she didn't know what was going on, and we
yeah.
sure didn't.
At that point, did you and your closest sister realize that you had a misophonia too? Do you remember
No,
having? Yeah.
I really lament that, because I have like large chunks of memory loss. I don't know if that's due to stress or trauma or what, but
Mm,
I don't remember. I don't remember that being an issue for myself. Uh, the sounds, I don't remember that.
gotcha. Okay, but yeah, you're. And what about Did you had a number of siblings? I guess you had an oldest sister that did not have any miso. Is that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think she has it. I mean, to this day, she'll get annoyed at certain things, but it really would take a lot for her to even say something. So I don't really think that she does, even mildly. And my mom definitely doesn't either. She just flat out doesn't get it.
Right. And what about and did you guys notice that your dad had miso like before, and your I'm just trying to, I guess, get the timeline, because there have been people who've kind of it's hard to remember back, going back for anybody really going back all the way to then. But some people, have anecdotal memories of maybe it's
Mm-hmm.
one of their parents having it back in the day. And there've been, a couple people who've expressed maybe if they, at least to them, it's felt like something got transferred, that kind of some trauma or something got just kind of some empathy, I don't know, some kind of a empathic transfer happened where they feel like they
Yeah.
may have picked it up. So this seems like a situation where I don't know if any of that is true, but I'm just curious if you how if that resonates with you maybe as a potential factor.
Yeah, I don't think so. You're asking
Yeah,
about my father. I don't think he had it. I just bring that up because that's the only memory I have of, him being annoyed by a sound. But
gotcha.
I don't know. I think it could be well, I do think it's genetic. I don't know. I don't know if we're born with it. That's kind of an interesting thing, or if it's something, neurological that happens to us later in life. I don't know, but I do know that the three of us, 3 out of 4 daughters have it.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, yeah. Um, and yeah, and then so do you remember kind of around what age you kind of start to feel it?
Oh man, I don't
If you don't, that's
remember.
fine. Yeah, it's just one of my
I was
standard
I was a
questions, I
young I
guess.
was a young adult. I was a young adult. That's safe to say.
Yeah, yeah, and it was basically kind of family life that was triggering you. I remember, I think in our preamble, you said you guys we live in a pretty rural area.
Yeah, I'm not out in the sticks or anything, but we
Yeah,
didn't. Besides going to school, we didn't really hang out with people or have much family. So it wasn't until I was a young adult that I started venturing out into the world and being around people of all ages, and I definitely started to get triggered for sure. If I wasn't at home already and didn't remember it, I definitely did around that time.
yeah, gotcha. And so it was like was it school that was kind of triggering a lot, or well, I guess yeah,
No,
yeah, okay,
I've really tried to dig back in my memories, and I don't remember. I know, like, if kids were tapping their pencils or something like that, that would be annoying. I don't remember being like strongly triggered back in high school or anything.
gotcha, okay. And so yeah, so it was kind of venturing out in the world when you started to be like, oh my God, this
This
is
is
starting to
heavy,
grow.
man.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, I do remember always disliking the sound of a clock ticking. I don't know
yeah.
that it caused me the fight or flight reaction, but I've never liked that sound. And I
Uh,
remember since I was a young kid not liking that sound.
yeah, I mean, to this day, yeah, if I see a clock in a room, I'll smother it with a jacket or something to
Yes.
take it down. Um, Somehow I still hear it a little bit, but yeah. Um,
Me too.
so and so did your triggers basically start to, I mean, obviously they started with things at home. Did they start to expand in terms of the number of triggers as you were kind of growing up into
Oh,
adulthood?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, the older I've gotten, the worse it's gotten, and it yeah, it's awful. I don't know. I don't wouldn't say I have the most severe case of, those I've heard their experiences, but it's definitely not mild. It's pretty taxing on me
Yeah.
day to day life. Yeah, but yeah, the triggers definitely have grown in number and color and variety.
And visual too. Imagining.
Yes, visual triggers are very much a thing for me.
And so, what do you and is your reaction usually? Yeah, I guess maybe let's talk about coping mechanisms. You got a great one there with the earpiece, and obviously you're listening to a lot of music.
Hmm.
Is it are you able to leave a lot of situations that you find yourself in based on maybe family members knowing about it or friends knowing about it, or is it like a daily exhaustion of like having to bottle things in and
Lately, it's not a daily thing, and really, the being self-employed helps a lot, and I having those the earpiece earplugs helps, but um, the sister closest to me in age has received a lot of calls or text messages of me
yeah.
hiding in a closet, crying in the bathroom, outside in the stairwell, just like on the verge of tears, sometimes crying, um, mad, frustrated, just at my wit's end, not knowing what to do because I didn't always know what was going on. I didn't know it had a name. I didn't know I didn't know if I was being overly sensitive, if I was just having extreme anxiety, which I usually do, anxiety and depression. I didn't know what exactly was the cause that was putting, causing such a strong physical reaction and mental. And so um, the fight or flight thing is very real, and usually as we do, we flee. We don't usually speak up for ourselves. Um, so I definitely used to do a lot more of that.
Yeah, you told me in kind of written exchanges that you're, I believe, also have I don't know, is it a diagnosis being a highly sensitive person?
Yeah, so I came across that several years ago. It's a book by Dr. Elaine Aron, and thank you for bringing that up. I forgot about that. It's it's not a pathology. It's not like I would consider misophonia pathological. Like,
Hmm.
right? Is that the right word? It's a diagnosis, basically. Like
Yes, yeah,
this is not a gift.
right.
Whereas she explains that HSP is kind of a gift. The highly sensitive person. That's what she's nicknamed it. Basically, she's coined it. But I think it has to do with it's like neurological. You, basically, the world is turned up for you, and that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it can be overstimulating. So it doesn't take as much beauty or sound or like physical touch to stimulate you. Um, you feel things very deeply, so there's definitely an emotional aspect to it, but really in a sensory aspect, it's like the world is turned up. And does that make sense?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah,
And
I'm sure a lot of creative people are, probably very sensitive. Yeah, it doesn't take you see you feel more from the world around you maybe
yeah,
than most people.
I hope I did that justice with my explanation, but I definitely identify with her work on that.
And was this something you I guess maybe trying to figure out a timeline of when you realized that misophonia was its own independent thing. It sounds like you had some you were dealing with some other stuff before that. Um, when did you find out that misophonia was its own was a thing, had a name?
I feel like it could have been like a Reader's Digest, like blip of an article, or I don't know, but and that was maybe when I quite a bit before I started doing my own research. But I know for sure in 2017, the like beginning of 2017, I was doing a whole bunch of research on all the things, and misophonia was one of them. I think I came across like what is it, the 3S sounds,
Oh,
selective
4S,
sounds,
selective sound
4S.
sensitivity syndrome. Yeah, yeah,
I came across that and like various, it seems like precursors to what we know as misophonia now.
yeah.
I was looking up stuff about ASMR. Um, and then another really cool thing, which I experience a lot, is called musical frisson, which is, I think frisson is like the French word for goosebumps. So it's like when you have such a strong emotional reaction to art or music or something beautiful, you get like that
Hmm.
full body chill bump thing. And so I was just kind of researching a lot of or reading a lot about stuff like that. And um, I think it was sometime in that arena of time that I came across Quiet Please.
Right, the
Um,
documentary. Yeah.
yeah, and I instantly bought it on I think it was the Play Store, and I watched it, and I was like just in tears because these people understood exactly what I was going through, and it was done in such a great way. I really love that documentary. And I think I instantly had my mom watch it with me and one of my sisters. I wish everybody could watch it to know kind of what it's like for us. And
Absolutely.
it's not just us, and we're not just like acting, like being too sensitive or we're crazy, or just get over it.
Yeah, exactly. Or, oh yeah, everybody's annoyed by those sounds. Why don't you just
Yeah.
get over it? What did your family members think when they saw us? Quiet, please.
Um, I'm pretty sure I watched it with my mom. I know because there was one guy who really hated clocks, and I think his mom got rid of him for him. And I was like, "Mom, you need to get rid
Yeah,
of your clock. I hate it." And
yeah,
she's so like, "Oh, she still won't get rid of that clock when I come over." But I don't think it really, honestly, had too much of an impact on her. But I watched it with the sister closest to me in age, and I mean, I don't remember anything outstanding. She watched it and she's like, "Yeah, that sucks." I mean, she has it too, but it wasn't too impactful, I don't think. But
so she has it too,
it
but is she? Did she kind of own it? Does she talk about it like the way you're talking about it, or is it just
she
something?
owns it,
Yeah.
but I think I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I think primarily she views
Oh,
me
let's
as
put words in
having
her
it.
mouth.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. She definitely feels like she gets the brunt of my rage because
mm.
I have clearly comfortable enough to tell her, can you stop? I mean, but
Oh, gotcha.
like doing what she's doing, and again, it's nothing usually too obnoxious. It's just normal noises. But I have found that maybe not so much with her, but like usually I don't want to eat in front of people because I like, especially if it's like something really loud or maybe slimy, I don't want to eat it because I
Yeah,
have like, I don't know what that's called, but I know that they couldn't care less, but I don't want to do it because it's causing me anxiety because I know how I would feel if I had to hear it. Does that make
yeah,
sense?
yeah. It does make sense. Yeah, yeah. You. I don't know if there's even a word. I don't even know how to describe it, but yeah, you. It doesn't. It doesn't bother them, but it's just another layer of stress. Like yeah,
Yeah, and then
it's
while I'm thinking about it, one of your previous guests, I think his name was Timothy. Is that
yeah,
right?
yeah. I've
A
had a
young, a
couple Tims.
younger.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
really?
yeah, yeah.
He,
Well, Tim. Well, I had one. I think very recently, and then Tim One I think is. I'll cut that. I don't want to put people's last names in, but
Uh-oh.
yeah, Tim is a student. I think in Missouri, but
Yeah. So, I don't, I think you were advertising it or on your Instagram account and that he was doing some kind of survey.
oh
And
yeah, he
so,
did. Yeah,
we both did that. And I actually need to do the follow up. That was like in February. But, so yeah, she definitely identifies enough to, have done the survey, and she did the follow up too. So she needs to get on here as a guest.
yes, yeah. So I guess yeah. So day to day now, you some of your friends. So you're basically stuck at home, I guess, like everybody else. Are you you're still going out to do jobs now, or is it kind of
Yeah.
curtailed itself? Yeah.
No, no, I still have my jobs, and it's really just me and go and do my thing, come back home for the
Yeah.
most part.
Yeah, yeah. And and I guess yeah, and then like socializing, you haven't have you been kind of how's that been? Do you live with anybody right now or
Just my two cats and
great.
me.
Yeah, yeah, okay. Well, that's kind of a lot of people said, "Oh, it's great to work from home." During quarantine, other people are like, "Now I'm stuck with like a room, a house full of my giant family, and it's terrible."
Oh,
Um,
that I could foresee that happening, and I would hate it.
right? Yeah. So yeah, some people are like, this is great. They're stuck at home. I guess well, there's unless you easily get lonely, I guess it can be
Yeah,
kind of a good thing.
it definitely has its pros and cons for sure.
And so have you ever seen any professionals about misophonia in particular, um, or therapists or whatnot, and mention misophonia?
Um, Not exactly. I do remember listening to a podcast where either the guest or yourself were saying that well, I think you said that you just want it in your medical records, right?
Yeah. And other people
Yeah,
have done the same thing independently, but yeah, I just wanted to, even if I was going to get the blank stare, it was going to be like,
yeah,
just here's how to spell it, write it down. If it shows up in a search engine in the future that helps somebody else or helps research, helps get the cure, that's a good thing.
absolutely. So as soon as I heard that, I was going back in like February for my annual checkup, and I was like at the end of the appointment, I was like, I don't expect you to do anything about this. I just want you to put it down. And I explained to him what misophonia was in a nutshell, and he acted like really intrigued. He's always very
Mm,
receptive to hearing new things, and I think it's interesting for doctors when patients actually do their own research sometimes.
yeah.
But I told him about it. He didn't know what it was. He hadn't heard of it, and he said he'd look into it. But I'm assuming, put it in my records. And other than that, that's all I've ever done as far as seeking out any kind of medical anything.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, and that's kind of the extent most people go, and we're usually either surprised or not surprised by the reaction because it's either a total blank stare, or it's a rare that somebody, a therapist kind of runs with and is like, oh yeah, here's a bunch of amazing therapies to try or things to do. It's usually never heard of it or just kind of a
Yeah, I do have a
nodding
friend
along.
that I've seen a handful of times over the years, and she would definitely be receptive to it. And I'm sure she'd tell me, maybe do some grounding work or get the heck out of there or, whatever. She would be receptive, but I just never really told her about it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah,
gotcha. Did you say she's a therapist or?
she's got so many qualifications,
Okay,
but
okay.
yeah, I would just overall I would call her a therapist. Yeah, she's very open to stuff like that.
And has she
She,
has she ever heard of misophonia by any chance?
I don't
Oh, I
think
mean,
so.
gotcha. Okay,
I've never asked her or talked to her about it.
yeah. And have you run into, like, other than your sister? Have you run into other people that have misophonia?
Yes, I have come across two people that I know in my real life who have it. I don't think they knew that they did, but by me expressing how I felt or what I was going through, they were like, one specifically, she was like, "Oh my gosh, I have that. I didn't know. My husband thinks I'm insane. Like
Yeah,
stop chewing that or stop eating that way or whatever." And I kind of let her know, like, that's misophonia. I'm really sorry you have
yeah.
that. I know what you're going through.
Did that
um,
bring you closer to that person, or just it was
um,
just something you had in common?
yeah, I mean, probably we don't talk all the time, but yeah, I think it was kind of like an aha moment for her. Like, there's a name. Oh, she was looking at my Pinterest boards, and she's like, I saw this thing on Pinterest, and I'm like, hey, that was my board.
Oh, you have a miso board.
Oh, I sure do. It's called My
Oh,
Private Hell.
perfect. Yeah, I'll have to. Is it public or is it private?
I can make it public again.
Okay, no, yeah, no. If you don't want to, I mean,
No, I
yeah,
don't
I
mind.
look for links to put in the show notes to, that maybe help people. So if you wanted to, yeah, that'd be cool to. I'm assuming what it has is basically tons of headphones and maybe some memes here and there, or
Oh yeah, for sure.
yeah, cool. Yeah, that might be helpful. And you said that she heard how you were kind of talking about, or expressing it. Like, how do you kind of explain, kind of describe it in your real life?
Oh man.
Because you know how we usually have to be diplomatic, or we have to use, we have to describe it in ways that we don't need to describe it to each other because we know what we're feeling. But
Yeah, like
um,
my spiel. I mean, I don't know exactly how. I mean, I've told a handful of people, so I don't really know how I told them, but
yeah,
I would explain it as a neurological condition that uh, you cannot help. I would say that exposure therapy is not a thing that works for people with
Nope.
misophonia. I've tried to my own demise.
Right.
Um, it could be any number of noises that are just normal everyday noises. Usually there will be mouth or eating triggers for people. It causes an extreme fight or flight reaction, also rage and disgust. I'm speaking from my own
Mm-hmm.
disposition.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you've got to get out of there. You've got to make it stop. You've got to get rid of the cause. I've listened to all of the different guests so far, and I'm intrigued how some of them are like, it's so hard having it. I don't even go there explaining it to people. And then other people are really advocates for themselves, which I aspire to be more so for myself, is telling people, hey, I have this issue and, I experience these things. And, maybe if you're around me, I would really love if you could be mindful of these things. But yeah, I kind of try to make notes of each guest to kind of learn from them and how to advocate for myself.
It's amazing. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's so exhausting trying not to think about this that the idea of like, thinking about like explaining it to somebody just feels like, I don't need uh, an extra layer of exhaustion.
Yeah, for
At
sure.
least, yeah. Um,
I think I mentioned before, like, uh, I wonder what the world sounds like to people without misophonia.
mm,
On the flip side, it's like, I wish just for a moment or a day, people could hear what the world sounds like for us.
mm,
Because I've pointed out noises or things before, like maybe not even something someone was doing, but a noise that was happening in the environment, and someone would just be like, "Oh, I didn't even hear that. Now I hear it. Thanks." Stuff
yeah.
like that.
Right.
I think a
Yeah.
lot more empathy would be shown for sure, or understanding.
Absolutely. Um, Yeah, that's so interesting. That yeah, you're hopefully you're getting some insights, taking notes
Oh yeah,
for everyone who's
for
been
sure.
on the podcast. Yeah, there's been I try to get a diverse crew, and yeah, there has been there's been a lot of similarities, obviously, but a lot of interesting insights from people all over the world.
Yeah,
Um,
you're doing a great uh, service. I was gonna say, but it almost feels like a gift. Each episode feels like a gift. Like, it takes your time, and you're you know organizing and all that. But it's really nice to be able to feel like, because it's so intimate, like one-on-one conversation, getting to know these people and
hmm
being like, "Yep, I do that," or "Yeah, I totally understand." And I mean, I think sometimes I've even like cried because some of the guest stories are just so emotional, and it's like
Oh,
I feel it.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, Lyle is a dude who's he was one of the first episodes. So he was actually kind of probably the main person that kind of inspired this. He's someone I talked to a lot at the last convention last year. He's at it since the '60s, and
Yes, I think I was crying listening to
his
his
yeah
experiences.
yeah I mean yeah can't imagine. Great dude, great guy. And you mentioned hey I guess we're heading to we've got maybe 10, 15 minutes
Okay.
left, but I did want to you did mention you had mentioned ASMR at one point, and then you said you had tried exposure therapy to your demise. Was this kind
Oh
of stuff that
yes.
you read was this when you were doing your research and you're like, oh, this sounds like a potential thing, I'll just try to, or did somebody say try this?
Yeah, so no, nobody said try this. So there's not just a whole lot on the internet about misophonia. I'm sure you
Mm-hmm.
are aware of that. Like
Mm-hmm.
these odd little studies, like I look up like the scientific papers, and they're like 3 paragraphs long, and they say,
Yeah.
"Oh, we tried sound exposure or whatever." And
we press
So I was
play
like,
and then we press stop and then we watch the person. Yeah, it's
we watched them die
right.
a quick death.
Yeah, then we went for lunch, and yeah,
Um,
there's not
so
a
so
lot of research, but there's more coming up, which is
it's
it's exciting.
I would yeah, I would say it's a growing field for sure. But I so yeah, I came across like sound exposure or whatever that exposure therapy idea.
Yeah,
So I really tried that and it doesn't work. Uh, I just kind of made myself sick trying to do it and like self experiment, like guinea pig type of thing. But you mentioned ASMR, so I have some friends who are like go back before ASMR was like known by everybody and their grandma and all these little kids. And so I was kind of intrigued by this, and I kind of uh, I have experienced the I don't know the technical term, but being triggered by ASMR um, specific things. But as more as it's gained, popularity, I've tried watching some of these videos because people watch them to go to sleep and to relax,
yeah,
and it sends me physically through the roof.
yep,
Like I'm out of there. Like I cannot deal with it. Um, it's such a misophonia trigger. So I keep looking for ones that possibly won't and that may be soothing, but so far I haven't really found one. If any of
yeah.
the other misophonia people know of some, I would be curious to see what they are. But um, I had a
Most
friend
people,
who is. Oh no, go ahead.
no, I was gonna say most people who've mentioned they tried it had yeah, same reaction. I think yeah, there were one or two that maybe a like a couple things, but I was just yeah, it's almost it's pretty much overwhelmingly negative
Oh my God, it's
reaction.
so extremely stressful. I
You know,
had
when I
one
first heard it, what
friend.
it was, when I first heard the term, I was just like, I'm not even gonna bother finding out what this is because it's like, nope. It's like immediately,
Hmm.
I cannot,
Oh,
this cannot possibly be good. But
yeah. Danger,
yeah,
danger. I did have a friend, apparently she really liked this video of a woman eating a pickle. And she's
hmm
like, y'all have got to see this. And I guess it was labeled an ASMR video. I mean, before she even finished like chomping down on the pickle, I literally was across the room.
yeah,
It was so upsetting. And I think I screamed too. I scream a lot, not like in anger, but like I
hmm
like out of like, oh, like I'm scared.
yeah.
It was awful. It was really awful.
Well,
Uh,
on that note of the pickle, yeah, I mean, is there any so obviously you've been listening to a lot of episodes. Thank you. And taking notes. Is there kind of maybe people and we're kind of I don't know. I guess I'm in the middle of the second season, so I'm getting a lot of new new listeners. Is there anything you want to tell people out there who are listening, who maybe have just found out about what it is, having similar experiences? Anything you kind of want to tell folks?
Ooh, let me pull from the depths of my wisdom. No, let's see. If
Or
I
not,
had
it's
just
fine. But yeah,
no, no. If here's my moment. There, I guess what I say is their hope. Is that cliche? There are dozens of us. That's an Arrested Development quote. We need to stand together. No, please cut all this out. I hate it.
yeah. No, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
I can't think of anything.
Yeah.
I'm so sorry. Um, I would say definitely find some people that you can uh, share your experiences with and what is going on, whether it's in the misophonia community, maybe someone you know online, or a friend, or a parent, or a sister, or something, so that it is helpful to have one or two people who know what you're going through and just vent. Venting, I think, is very important. Um, Having some coping mechanisms, like misophonia is not going anywhere. If you have it, I don't know of anybody who's who's been able to get rid of it. Although maybe one or two of the guests, I think they said it's lessened with age. Maybe is that something?
Um, I don't remember anyone on the top of
No.
my head saying that, but
Okay, don't quote me on that. But definitely find some healthy coping mechanisms and be your own advocate. Be your own advocate. Be tactful and be kind, but be strong for yourself.
yeah, no, that's great. Be tactful, be kind, because we all want to run or fight, but that can often make a situation more stressful, which, as we know, stress exacerbates this. So
Yeah.
um, it's important to
And if
keep that in mind as well. Yeah,
yeah, and if you know something's going to be stressful, um, kind of
Pre-
just prepare for that. Get out
yeah,
of
prepare your
there.
brain in advance. If you can get out, that's great. If you can't, try to calm your brain down before going in.
Yes. Yeah. I would say those are some good starters.
Great. Well, Samantha, thanks. Thanks again for coming on and being such a
Thank,
great, great guest and great listener. And I know I owe you, I think, a couple more stickers that
yeah. Send
for
me
your
some.
sister. So I'd love to do that. And
I'm I'm so
yeah,
thankful to have been a guest and to have found your podcast even more so. And yeah, I really appreciate what you do and all the others who are kind of leading the way. I really appreciate it.
thank you so much, Samantha. Sorry again, guys, for the late episode this week. Don't forget to check out the Miso List at misolist.com. We'll be back here on a Wednesday next week. You can always email me, hello@misophoniapodcast.com, or on Instagram and Facebook at Misophonia Podcast, Twitter at Misophonia Show. Music is by Moby. And as always, wishing you peace and quiet.